I wish I had started recording before you'd said that, because shout out to tacos. Love tacos.
Shout out to tacos.
Always tacos. Tomorrow, Taco Truck will be where Ryan goes for lunch.
Nice.
Welcome to City on a Hill Gaming, a tabletop RPG actual play and discussion podcast. We hope you enjoy our show. Welcome back to City on a Hill Gaming. I am not your purveyor of nonsense, Ryan. I mean, I am Ryan. Hi. But I am not your purveyor of nonsense. I will introduce your purveyor of nonsense here in just a moment. I'll let him explain what it is we're doing here today. But welcome back to City on a Hill Gaming. And joining me, Emma, who is a purveyor of nonsense, especially with frog-based characters, but not currently the purveyor of nonsense. That is Cameron. Hello, sir.
What's up?
Purvey some nonsense, please.
What's up? Yeah, so I'm very excited. We've talked about this for a while. As I'm sure people can tell from the title, we are going to be building Marvel Multiverse characters for the Marvel Multiverse tabletop RPG. And so we're eventually going to be doing a one-shot. We're going to have some additional people playing with us, hopefully, as we go through and do that. But since we have to build characters, and it's easy to build characters together, we decided to just get on and record us doing that. And so for people that don't know, Marvel Multiverse is a D616 system.
Hate it.
So what that means is you use... I've made my stance on puns well known.
You have, it's true.
But what that means is you're going to use 3d6 when you play this game, and one of those d6 is going to be a different color. That's your Marvel die. And so there's going to be special powers and stuff like that are tied to that specific die. That's also going to be the die that determines damage. We're not going to go into that too much in this episode, because we're probably not actually going to be rolling dice. We're going to just be creating characters. And so, but I wanted to get that background out of the way.
He did walk us through a small combat, and buckle in. It's different, but it's good.
Yep.
It's good, but it's different than what you're used to from us.
Yep.
It'll be interesting, but I'm excited.
Yeah. So we're going to be playing a official one-shot put out by Marvel for this game called Enter Hydra. And so the idea of this one-shot is that our characters are going to be asked by the Avengers to go and investigate something. And who knows, there might even be Hydra agents there. And so for some of the background there, our characters are going to be building established characters, or our own characters, but who have been established heroes. And so they're going to be rank 3. We'll talk about a little bit more about what that means in a moment. And then the idea from a narrative perspective for them is that this is going to be their tryout to try to join the Avengers. And so as we're building characters, you'll probably hear us reference that idea of like, what kind of hero are you? What do you want to be doing? Things like that. And yeah, I have been playing a home game of Marvel Multiverse. It's a ton of fun. Highly recommend. As Ryan has said, it is definitely different, but I think it's a different in an amazing way. And so we'll talk more through that as we get going. And so for the character building process, like I said, y'all are going to be building rank 3 heroes. From the system perspective, these are called champions. And so in Marvel Multiverse, rank isn't strictly level, but it's pretty close. And it's close enough for our argument. There's 6 different ranks in the system, 6 being cosmic, 1 being rookie. And so we're going to be on that like upper end of that middle section. And so, or upper end of the first half. There we go. And so
can you give them some examples?
Yeah. So examples of rank 3 heroes would be Kamala Khan, her Miss Marvel, Jessica Jones, and Ant-Man. So these would be examples. I believe Bishop is also a rank 3 character. Shout out to my player in my home game who's playing a ranked down version of Bishop right now. And yeah, and so it's a really fun, it's a very interesting system. It's very flexible. You can also take established heroes and change their ranks. And so nice. I was playing a work game for a while, and everyone had picked rank 3 characters, but one person wanted to play Daredevil, who's rank 2 in the system. And so we just ranked him up to rank 3. So he was the same as everybody else. So it's very flexible in that regard. And yeah, so we're going to get into this. We're going to kind of jump between y'all as we develop these characters and talk through who they're going to be. I don't know if we've had at this structured of a how we've built characters, but part of this is because the system is new. We're going to kind of keep it structured for the two of y'all versus with D&D. or even Pathfinder would be more likely to just kind of let people go and decide what they're going to do. And so as we get started, there's going to be two important decisions that you're going to have to make when it comes to your character. One is, what is their origin? So this is going to be, from a game's perspective, how did they get their powers? And so some examples of origins is maybe they're an alien. Like that could be one way that they got their powers. They could be an inhuman. They could be a mutant. Maybe they are they're someone similar to like Thor or Loki. They could be someone who just has special training and has these abilities because of that. And then the game even has something called weird science, which is one of my favorite.
It's just science, but it's weird.
What is it? Science happened and went badly?
Sure. I mean, so is Hulk weird science?
Yeah, so Hulk in that example would be weird science.
Sick.
And then the game also is very flexible when it comes to how you want to flavor your powers. So like, for example, you might be high tech, so think Tony Stark, but you might want to use telekinesis powers. This is actually what one of the players is doing in my home game right now. That's perfectly fine. How is he levitating things with his mind? Nanobots.
Technology.
Oh, sick. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So don't worry about if the power actually makes sense for the origin. Come up with a cool origin for your character.
And I need an origin and an occupation?
Yes. And so origin is going to be how you get your powers. And then occupation is going to be, what does your character do when they are not superheroing? So an example is Tony Stark is a tycoon. He's rich, he is famous, and that's going to kind of influence his decision. Daredevil is a lawyer, hypothetically.
Right. He's a really good lawyer.
Yeah. And so that's going to be your occupation, and that will give you what the system calls traits and tags. Traits are going to be things that mechanically are going to influence your stats or roles, whereas tags are going to be RP. So, for example, if you're an engineer in this section, in this game, you're going to gain the gearhead and inventor traits, which are going to give you some sort of bonus. But as a tag, you get lab access. So it's assumed that you have some lab that you can go to, and that's where you can practice engineer stuff.
Okay, cool.
So as we go through that's going to be where we're going to start off. And Emma, if you're ready, we're going to start with you. What origin are you thinking for your character, and do you have an occupation of choice?
I want to be an android engineer.
Okay.
That's what I've got. I saw intrigued. Android and I was like, yes, I want to be an android. The only fitting occupation, engineer.
Yeah. So what that's going to mean for you. So for your origin on your character sheet, go ahead and write high tech parentheses android. That's going to give you the tags of AI, and then extreme appearance common. We can decide what your character actually looks like for those for that tag of like how humanoid do they look. We'll figure out what that looks like as we build out more of your character.
Nice.
And then you're going to get a trait called tech reliance. So what that means is your powers are tied to technology. Yeah. So, and then you said engineer. So, so then again, you're going to get the tag of lab access. So maybe this might come up during our one shot. Maybe you need to find some sort of resource or need to study something, and we can take it to the lab. And then the traits of gearhead and inventor. So for the sake of this, I want to just go find one. So inventor means the character is good at coming up with solutions on the fly. They have edge on logic checks when creating or repairing things. So your characters was really good at fixing things. And so that's going to help your character in some ways as we go. And so.
Nice.
And then Ryan, let's jump over to you. What are you thinking for your character?
For origin, I'm going to, I think, go magic.
Okay. So you've got your power through some sort of magic. Maybe you have a spell book to go to the idea of D&D. Maybe you have trained. Do you want? There's different subsets of magic, and so there's kind of just general. There's like general magic, chaos magic. So think like Scarlet Witch. Then there's like sorcery. Think it was Agatha all along.
Heck yeah.
And then there's like there is that like kind of just general magic bucket if you don't want to pick one of the other examples.
I guess maybe it's not. I guess maybe magic doesn't work the same way I want it to in my head because it's okay. I guess it's actually mutant.
Okay, and remember, we can theme however you want to theme.
I'm having a hard time theming it that way.
So you could So just based on the idea that we have talked pre-show about what you're doing, mutant would work. You could be a mutant. You could be an inhuman. That would work with your powers. You could even be like a mystic if you wanted to do something like that. Or you could do, like, honestly, even like weird science would work. How did you gain these powers? Some weird science experiment.
That's interesting.
So,
okay.
Like,
I may not write one down yet.
Ahead of us.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Like Sandman, as an example.
For no particular reason. Good.
Is weird science. Like that would be his background.
Oh.
Or his origin.
It's like Sandman. It's like most of a lot of Spider-Man's villains.
Yeah.
Are weird science. Okay, cool.
Yes, correct.
A lot of Batman's villains are weird science.
Also weird science, yeah. Yeah. She right.
And so
okay.
Yeah, and then like I said, we can theme and do all however you want to do that.
I may come back to that then.
You could even just be an alien that has these powers.
Alien.
And so
occupation is student.
Student, okay. So for student, you're going to take the trait of quick learner, and then the tag of mentor, and then obligation school. So that means that from a narrative perspective, like, hey, you got to make it to class, and then you probably have some sort of mentor as part of this.
Okay.
Also, for the audience at home, none of this is going to be set in stone, but just kind of as we're thinking, what age are you thinking for your characters? Like, are they college students? Like
college.
Okay. And then Emma, you're an android, so like you do whatever you want.
6 months old.
General hand wave. I'm either 6 months old or 6,000 years old. Who knows?
True. Space android. Yeah.
General hand wave.
Irrelevant.
Yeah. And so then for people playing along at home, quick learner as a trait is if this character fails an action check, they gain edge on that check if they try the same action on the next turn.
Oh, cool. Okay. I like that. That's kind of sick, actually.
Hey, I failed. I messed up, but I'm going to retry, and now I'm better at it.
Okay, sick. I like that.
So that's our occupations for both, and we have our origin for Emma's character. Of course, we'll come up with names. We'll figure out what all of that is going to look like as we go.
We have names.
Oh, you have names?
I have names.
Okay.
What
are you thinking?
I went real, like, heavily Golden Age Marvel, where in Stan Lee's mind, and I think he said he literally did this just to help him remember, every name is either like alliteration or deeply thematic. So like Peter Parker, Bruce Banner, whatever. It's literally just to help him remember things. And I said, why not embrace that and thematic? So because it's her powers are elemental and stone based, it is her last name is Granite because has to be, and her first
Victor
name
Von Doom principle.
Yes, and her first name is Grace, so she is Grace Granite.
Okay, nice.
And I need to look. I came up with a code name, but I need to make sure no one actually has it already. I don't know if that's actually a Marvel character.
And if they are, maybe you're another character using the same name. Maybe they passed on the mantle.
Maybe that's my origin.
Maybe in our multiverse, that other character never existed, and you are the person that has achieved those things.
Sure.
Achieved. So there's a lot of fun play that you can do, and so
fascinating.
And I've got a name.
Okay.
It's the same name as code name.
Okay.
It's Andy, all caps with a period between each letter.
Okay.
A period, N period, T period, Y period. Andy.
Okay.
I am Andy.
So then with that, based on how you're talking about that character, Emma, I'm going to give you the tag of public identity.
Yeah.
So this is something that like your you're not a secret. Like you're not, like you are, like your identity is not a secret. Yeah. It's people recognize you as the hero.
She's a walking android. Like you can't really hide that.
Yeah. Oh, and then, so I don't forget it, y'all also are both going to get the tag of heroic because y'all are going to be heroes. That's why you're being asked to join the Avengers.
Nice.
And then Ryan, we'll come back to your origin after we kind of talk through for Grace. The next thing that y'all have is we're going to be building rank 3 characters. And so that means that you are going to get access to 3 additional traits. So you'll get your traits from your origin or occupation, then you're going to get 3 more. So we do have a big list of them. I want y'all to kind of take some time to look through those as you find those. Don't necessarily, again, nothing's final, but just as you want to go and look through some of them, you might end up needing to pick like a subcategory. So for example, one of the traits is called connections. So this gives you when you would roll an ego check, with connections to gain access or information on a specific topic. So if you're thinking similar to like our Pathfinder game, like Ezek has lore Colo. Like he knows about the Colo ancestry because he is one. And that's how connections works as well. So you might have connections, police. Maybe you're someone, for Andy as your example, maybe you have worked with the police before, or maybe you have connections Empire State University because maybe that's where you were built. Stuff like that would be an example of a trait that you may have. And so
so if I did go ahead, Emma.
Do we have a max number of traits and tags we can have?
So theoretically you can have an infinite number of tags, asterisk, but don't go crazy.
Sure.
And then from a traits perspective, it's not a hard limit. It's going to be whatever you get from your occupation and origin plus 3 for the sake of this, since you're rank 3.
Great.
So we would have, like I get 2 from occupation, I guess 1 from origin, so plus 3, so I would have 6.
Roughly. Like there may be some ebb and flow based on the specific origin or occupation that you pick, but.
Okay, help me with surprising power.
Okay.
It says ignore rank or origin requirements for power. So if there was a rank 4 power I wanted, as long as I had, even if I didn't have the prerequisites, I could take it. But I could ignore the fact that it's rank 4, even though we're rank 3.
So you would still need the prereqs powers.
Okay, which I would have, actually.
But you would, yes, but you would ignore
the fact that it's rank 4.
Or origin. Yes.
Okay.
And so for example, for y'all, nothing that y'all are picking power-wise is tied to a specific origin, but there are origins that give specific powers. So for example, if you are going to become Ghost Rider, there are specific powers tied with being the spirit of vengeance.
Like so that you like have to have like automatically or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so for example here, for you, if you wanted to build your character and hey, I really want this 1 rank 4 power or up to 3 rank 4 powers, I guess, technically. And as long as you have those prereqs,
sure,
you can take surprising power.
Okay. Let me do that. Okay. So I guess I need to figure out the total of I'm going to write that down as an option. I need to figure out the totals of other things, I guess, but these are really interesting.
Yeah. And I do want to call out surprising power. You can take it multiple times. I believe it does still count as one of your power picks as well. Like I think it hits you on both sides.
Oh, okay.
Surprising power does.
So surprising
the balance of it.
Like it would be surprising power. Whatever I picked would be one of my 12 or whatever.
Correct. That then gives you the ability to pick the power. That might not be correct, but I'm pretty sure that is.
I'm just picking stuff based on names because that seems fun.
Yeah. So what are you thinking?
Reasonable.
External awareness and weird.
So weird, as the example, gives you edge on ego checks versus those who like you, but trouble on ego checks against those who don't. So that could be very powerful if you're going ego-based powers because that can give you some sort of bonus as you're trying to like talk to people.
Right.
Okay, signature attack. Gain an edge on attacks with 1 specific attack power or weapon. So that wouldn't be anything elemental, but 1 specific one of my elementals.
Correct. So that would be a specific power. So it would be your
like elemental burst or something.
Could be elemental burst.
Okay, gotcha. Interesting.
Yeah, it's a specific power, or if you're playing a character, because of course we haven't really necessarily talked about what powers you're going to pick yet. But there's also things of like melee weapons. If a player wanted to play like Wolverine, or ranged weapons if you wanted to play Hawkeye, and so your ranged or your surprise or your signature weapon or signature attack could be with a bow, and so you just have advantage on your normal bow attacks.
Bow attacks. Okay.
And
right now, I'm looking at surprising power, first aid, and battle ready.
Okay. So
battle ready just gives her extra focus.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I still don't know what external awareness does.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not sure where you saw that. Where
there was another list that it was on, so I'll just get rid of it. Okay. I'm so far only have eidetic memory.
External awareness is a tag, not a trait. So
interesting.
Eidetic memory may ask the GM to remind you of Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I kind of like that, actually.
But yes, you can take extreme oh wait, that's extreme, not external. Yeah, I don't know. I am not seeing that one.
I have it written down under tags now, because that seems like a decent thing to have.
Okay. I guess I need to go ahead and look at powers and start counting points to see if surprising power makes sense or if I'm not going to have room.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and jump over to powers. Again, we can circle back to traits, and of course, nothing's set in stone. So feel free to adjust things as we go. And so, as y'all are looking over some of the powers, for the audience, the way that Marvel Multiverse works is there are no classes in this game. There is not a fighter, rogue. There's not that type of character. Instead, what there are is there's power sets. So these will have similarities to what you think of when it comes to normal classes, but not strictly the same thing. So, for example, one of the power sets is melee weapons. That's pretty close to a fighter, but isn't strictly this. And as you build your character, you can mix and match different power sets together. There's a bonus for only doing a few power sets, but there's no penalty for doing a whole bunch. So theoretically, if a player wanted to use 10 different power sets, they could do that. They could do shallow and wide instead of deep, but
few.
But few, yeah.
Okay, so
deep but narrow. There we go. I couldn't think of the word narrow there. So.
Does the rank of a power mean it costs more out of the 12 powers?
No. And so so powers do have prereqs, and one of those prereqs can be rank, but just because a power is rank 3 doesn't mean it costs like 3 points. Our characters are going to get 12 points to spend on powers, and each power will be 1 point.
Elemental burst is 1 point, or is a power, is a rank 1 power. Elemental blast is the rank 2 power that requires it, but that's still just 2 of the 12.
Correct.
Okay, I feel much better about that now. Okay.
Yeah. And then as we're talking here, we kind of did this and we've hinted at what Grace is going to be doing, but what are y'all thinking power-wise for your characters?
Yes. Emma, you want to go first?
One of the power sets is phasing stuff.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And the other that I was looking at was some elemental control, specifically targeting electricity.
Okay.
Nice. Sick.
Yeah.
I'm looking at elemental earth and tactics, and maybe something else. And Cameron, I want your opinion on this because you've played with this a fair amount. So I'm looking at some combination of Toph from Avatar, and League of Legends character Talia, which are both kind of stone elemental powers. But the thing Talia can do is like ride along rock walls and stuff and can create long rock walls. And I don't see anything for that.
Yeah. So what that most likely would end up being is you're going to have like elemental form. And that form would be like riding on rocks, and then elemental barrier. is going to be like you're creating a shield.
Okay, so body made of element.
Yeah, let me actually go hop over to elemental forms rules and take a quick look at that. So
maybe not elemental. Because elemental form is body made of element. I don't want her to be made of stone.
Okay. Yeah, so like you could think Iceman for that. Like his body isn't made of ice, but he can create an ice body. But speaking of I'm going to go look at Iceman because I want to see how they differ. So we are, of course, building our own characters for this, but there are a whole bunch of established characters in the game. So people can go and take a look at if you ever wanted to have a character for inspiration. So the way that they do it for Iceman, it looks like they just give him the ability of flight with the idea that that is how he's moving on his ice.
Oh. Okay, that I'm okay with. Is that a basic? That's under basic, so that wouldn't add
that's a basic. So
okay.
So for people at home, basic powers are powers that anyone can take. They don't count against your different power sets if you do want that bonus.
Cool.
But they can be cool. And like I said, here we're going to take and flavor powers at whatever makes sense for people. And so again, if flight makes sense for how you want your character to move. Like, even if they're not going to be actually flying.
Right.
Like, that's something that you could definitely use as a way of getting around. And so.
A lot of this comes down to just kind of reading through things to make sure.
Yeah.
It's for damage exceeding.
Okay. So, Emma, let's talk phasing for you. Because that's when I say limited power set, there's not a ton of powers there compared to elemental control. And so, let's go take a look at that power set. And kind of see what it is that you are thinking for that.
I've got currently written down for useful things. Phase self, disrupt electronics, disrupt person, and phase object within that tree. Because all of those pretty much need phase self in order to function. Let's see, what tab is that on? That's under 3, I think. No, 2. So go ahead.
So disrupt. Let me
disrupt person
self real quick. So phase self, character in clothes become intangible. So you can think, of course, vision, the ability to pass through walls and stuff like that. And then disrupt person and disrupt electronics. So disrupt person, roll a melee attack versus melee defense, ignoring any health damage reduction. But yes, that kind of like gives you a way of like bypassing people's defense to hit them. That's really cool.
Yep.
And then disrupt electronics. You can shut down electronics / tech by phasing through it. Tech power shut down for 1 round to reboot. Oh, so similar to how you have tech reliance. If you pass through somebody else that has tech reliance, their tech powers get shut down. That's very cool.
Yeah. And then I decided flight 2 would be fun.
Okay. That's a good one. So for people that don't know, flight 2 actually means something specific. There is both flight 1 and flight 2 in this game. And I think it goes up to 4.
Yeah.
Most of the other ones. Oh, no, there's only 2 for flight. So flight 1 just gives you the ability to fly. You can fly equal to your run speed, which is pretty cool. And then you can fly 3 times your speed out of combat. But flight 2 gives you the power to fly 50 times your speed out of combat. So you're zooming around.
I'm zooming.
Zoom.
Through stuff.
Zoom.
Very cool.
Zoom.
And then again, elemental burst, you pick a specific element.
Yeah, so in your case, if you just want electricity, all of yours are going to just be elemental control parentheses electricity, and you'll just have all of the powers under that one.
Is there a whole tab thing for that?
So the different elemental types are not on this sheet. That's one of the things I was looking for earlier.
So if you go to powers 1, there's just elemental control is just one list.
They don't have them separated out by the different ones.
So if I just put in, so elemental control is its own power category. If I just pick electricity, I get all of this stuff underneath the elemental control as electricity themed?
Right.
Any of them
Great.
that you take as powers
Yes.
would be electrically
Yeah,
themed.
anything that you pick will just be electricity themed. Yeah.
Great.
And that's elemental control from a system perspective is also their like catch-all. So for example, like Magneto is elemental control iron. Like that's how they
Yeah.
I think it's iron is the I don't think they did just metal, but I could be wrong. Oh, it is iron. Yeah. And then your element is going to give you a special power when you get a fantastic success. So you're critical. And so, Emma, for you, anytime you critical on those electricity powers, you are going to stun the target for 1 round.
Nice.
Thanks for listening to City on a Hill Gaming. If you want to find out more, visit us online at cityonahillgaming.com or by sending us an email at cityonahillgaming@gmail.com. Or check the link in the description to join our Discord. Thanks as always to our Patreon backers, Christina, Joanne, Tony, Bryan, Andrew, Sir Lord Epicname, and Grizzly Rich. And as always, thanks for listening, and have a blessed day.